Well, good morning and welcome, everyone. This is Chris Bibbo at Habitat Colorado. Today is Tuesday, November 27th, and this is the AmeriCorps NCCC webinar. I'm pleased to welcome our presenter this morning, Jennifer Manhoff. Jennifer is the Assistant Program Director for AmeriCorps NCCC in Colorado. She's responsible for developing new partnerships and helping prospective sponsors and host sites develop projects where NCCC members can serve. Jennifer is joined by a special guest co-presenter this morning, our very own Rebecca Shannon. Rebecca is the Outreach and Volunteer Manager at Habitat for Humanity of the St. Vrain Valley. St. Vrain Habitat has hosted 4 NCCC teams over the past 2 years, and she'll be talking with you about their experience as a project sponsor. So welcome, Jennifer and Rebecca, and thank you for being with us this morning to talk about the NCCC program. I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Hopefully you have seen me in your inbox, and I'm glad that we have the chance to get together here so you can learn a little bit more about AmeriCorps NCCC. As Chris said, I'm the Assistant Program Director for NCCC in Colorado, and I am your resource in helping you develop projects and submit applications for teams for NCCC. So let's talk a little bit about that. So here's what we're going to do today. I'd like to give you an overview of the Colorado State Service Plan and the Affordable Housing Issue 1A. You may have heard about that through your newsletters or through some of the emails that I've sent, but have not really gotten enough information. So hopefully we'll clear that up for you and how it affects you, as well as give you an introduction to AmeriCorps National Civilian Community Corps, and that is known as NCCC, and our mission. And then we'll go over the request for applications. I'll make reference to that throughout the presentation. I send that out often with notifications for timelines and due dates. So I'll walk you through that and how to find the information that you need on it. And then we'll give you some examples of successful projects and how you can make sure that you have success when applying for a team and hosting them. So the Colorado State Service Plan. So Colorado has a Governor's Commission on Community Service, and every 3 years, they develop a state service plan. And the state service plan identifies the main issues of the state, as well as the focus areas by region of the state on where they'd like to focus service. So NCCC uses that service plan to decide on what projects we're going to serve and where we're going to serve. The issue number 1A is affordable housing. So what Serve Colorado did was they hired outside consultants and did a big listening tour throughout the state of Colorado. And what they found was that the number 1 issue in Colorado is affordable housing. And here's what we are doing to address that. So NCCC uses the state service plan, like I said, to decide who and how we're going to serve the state of Colorado. And in the 1A, we have committed to work with Habitat for Humanity affiliates to develop projects, and that's where I come in to assist you. And I'm working with Chris as well on outreach, and he set up this webinar for us, so we're really grateful for that. And then we'll assign a minimum of 10 teams throughout the next 3 years to work on Habitat for Humanity projects. And how we're also going to do that is we've received support because of this agreement that we've made with Habitat for Humanity and Serve Colorado. We've received support from our headquarters in Washington, D.C., and they're going to be sending us an additional 7 teams starting in the summer. So come next September, we'll have 35 teams serving. We currently have 21, so that's a big boost for us. And then we'll be tracking the data on accomplishments and provide updates to the state of Colorado, Serve Colorado, and CNCS headquarters on our progress. Right now we have 3 teams serving in Colorado with Habitat for Humanity affiliates, and I'll be sending out some information at the end of their service round 1 in December to all of you on their accomplishments and what they were able to get done for affiliates that they're working with in Colorado this first round. And then the last part is to promote member development through home building skills for post-service employment. And that's where Habitat is a great partner because you're really teaching some tangible skills to our members. So NCCC, there are 4 regional offices. We're in the Southwest region, and we have 9 states. So while we'll be having 35 teams starting next September, we are serving in 9 states. And here's our mission. We do 2 things one way. We strengthen communities and develop leaders, and how we do that is through team-based national and community service. So you all are providing the communities that we'll be serving, and hopefully we're helping to strengthen those communities through the projects. And we are providing the members that, through their service, are developing as leaders. So in this next part, what I want to do is take you a little bit through who we serve and the kinds of projects we serve on. And the reason I'd like you to know a little bit more outside of just Habitat for Humanity affiliates is because this will give you some ideas of who else in your community might benefit from receiving a team, as well as help you in generating ideas on collaborative projects. So sometimes project partners don't have enough work or don't want to host a team for a full 12 weeks because it's a lot of responsibility, and they'll bring on other projects and other partners to share the team out. So this will give you some ideas on that. We serve nonprofits, including faith-based organizations, federal, state, and local governments, public schools, colleges and universities, and tribal governments. So I'll give you some examples of that as we go through these next few slides. So you can find this in the request for applications as well. And you'll see in the top of the first page who we serve, and then you'll see our service areas. So one of our service areas is education and youth development. And in education and youth development, our members tutor and mentor youth in and out of school, including summer and meal programs. So examples of partners that we work with are Girls and Boys Clubs, camps, 4-H, schools, and after-school programs. The next one is Healthy Futures, and that is building and preparing community gardens, food security initiatives, and healthy lifestyle programming and initiatives. Some ideas of who we served in this area are CSAs, Community Supported Agriculture, there it is. Educational farms, food banks, and Department of Education nutritional programs. And then we have the environment, and in environment our teams are largely working in trail building, conservation, and stewardship initiatives. We partner with state and national parks, towns. We were in Trinidad doing some trail building, nonprofit mountain and trail clubs, and 4-H centers. We also perform disaster response and long-term recovery. We are currently still working in Houston on Hurricane Harvey, and we've worked throughout the region in mucking and gutting. And then we also have a fire management team that we have about once a year that goes out and works with our state forests and learns about fire management and then joins their efforts in fire management. Veterans and military families are one of our target populations that we serve, and in the ways that we serve them are through building facilities or structures that support veterans and assisting with veterans programming and services. So we've supported this last year and the year before the National Veterans Golden Age Games. And currently, we are serving in Habitat for Humanity Greeley Ward, and our team there is actually working on a veterans build, and they're hoping to get that family into the home before the holidays. And finally, this is where you all come in, economic opportunity. So building and renovating homes, community facilities, tax preparation, and community vitalization is what we do in economic opportunity. And so we've partnered with Main Street programs, towns and town councils, Vita Tax programs, and of course, Habitat for Humanity. So let's talk a little bit about who our members are. So you learned about who we serve, what kind of projects that we serve on, and now I'd like to tell you about who our members are. So our members are 18 to 24 years of age. They apply to the program from across the U.S. and territories. They represent a wide variety of socioeconomic, cultural, geographic, and educational backgrounds. So they're 18 to 24. Some of them are right out of high school, some of them are right out of college, and some may be working on their GED. They have various education levels. And what's most impressive about this group of members is that they sign up for a year of community and national service. So they are really engaged and excited to get out and working on progress and making a difference across the United States. NCCC provides, this is what we provide to our sponsors and on the team. So we provide a team leader, a 15-passenger van that the team is traveling in. When you think about it, it's pretty cool. These teams will go out and serve on 3 to 5 projects, and we're in a 9-state region, so they could be deployed to 3 to 5 different states in the region. They will all be wearing uniforms when they arrive at your project site. They come with personal protective equipment, a food and laundry budget, and workers' compensation and liability coverage. We have the members on campus for 3 weeks for intense training before we deploy them. We specifically hire team leaders to lead these teams. So each team comes with a team leader that works and lives with the team. The team leader goes through their own training. They all come onto campus before the core members, and they go through 3 weeks of training and then assist with the core member training when they arrive on campus. They're specially recruited, selected, and trained to supervise basic daily operations of the team, and they serve as the primary liaison between NCCC and the sponsoring organization. So once we deploy a team out to you, really you're working with the team leader, and the team leader has the team. And their duties include administrative responsibilities, logistical planning, personal management, and reporting requirements. So here's what we ask of our sponsoring organizations. And what you provide, and a lot of this goes on at the outset when you're submitting your application, and then you're actually implementing when the team arrives. So you are providing an orientation to your organization, the project, and the community. The team is coming to work and live with you for 6 to 12 weeks, so it's really important that they are introduced into the community and feel welcomed into their temporary home. You also provide the training and at the outset as well as ongoing training, which of course Habitat for Humanity does a great job with training at the beginning and then the on-site training. Worksite supervision, a minimum of 20 hours per week. Generally on Habitat sites, they work with your construction managers and you guys have full supervision for them while they're there. The project materials, tools, and supplies, housing for the team, and context. And so the context is why are they there and why is it the work that they're doing important and how is it going to impact the community. One of the biggest questions that we get from our sponsors is how are we going to house the team? And especially when you look at issue area 1A being affordable housing, it's a challenge to begin with. So then how will you be able to house the team? And this is just to give you some examples of how to house the team. They need to stay together. So all of them need to be in one place. And they need housing that provides a place to sleep, a kitchen, and showers. They'll be cooking and eating all of their meals together, packing their lunch up every day to take with them to the work site. So it's really important that they have a full kitchen available to them. Now, it doesn't have to be traditional housing because teams have stayed in YMCA camps and cabins, lodges, and dorms. They've stayed in vacant homes with Habitat for Humanity, and some of our affiliates then let them use the restore to furnish the home for while they're there. And they've stayed in churches and community centers as well. And a lot of churches and community centers have kitchens available and rooms where teens can come and set up their cots. We are able to send them with cots and sleeping bags, so you don't have to provide 12 beds, which most sponsors can't do that. So there's a lot of ways to think about this. And if housing is an issue for you and you think it might be difficult to find a place to house a team, I always encourage sponsors to reach out to the community, because receiving a team is really a benefit to the community. They'll come in and they're going to bring a lot of energy with them, and the community enjoys having them there. So make it a community effort if housing is an issue. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to Rebecca now, who's going to talk about St. Vrain's experience with hosting teams.
Hey everybody, good morning. So I'm Rebecca Shannon. My role here is Outreach and Volunteer Manager at St. Vrain Habitat. I'm also the host site manager for our AmeriCorps Nationals and project coordinator when we host AmeriCorps NCCC teams. We have been hosting AmeriCorps National members for 10 years, and in 2016 we hosted our first NCCC team. We've now had 4 teams. We think they are awesome, and we hope to improve each time we have a deployment. So I hope each of you will get a chance to engage a team as well. So project goals. The common goal for each deployment is to get our families into stable, affordable housing in less time than it would take depending on local volunteers. And for us, each team has helped us shorten a typical build schedule by several months. So some of the things that we've had our teams working on is flood recovery up in Lyons. They did a rebuild home there. They're currently working on some replacement housing in Lyons. We have found that NCCC is especially helpful in winter when we tend to have fewer of our corporate groups and community volunteers. And an example of that would be we started the Lyons flood rebuild January of last year, and our hope is to have 4 units completed 1 year later. And that's really only possible because of NCCC. We are currently working on workforce housing in Dacono, Colorado, and the first 2 teams we had, they were able to get us, help us finish a home in 9 months, which I believe is the shortest that we've ever built a home. And in that community, we don't actually have a regular crew of volunteers or there's not a lot of corporate volunteers in that community, so NCCC really was instrumental in our success. And then we did an accelerated build with NCCC where in 1 week they helped us prep for this accelerated build, and we went from foundation to walls up, roof on, fully framed and dried in. And actually Jonah and his AmeriCorps Nationals were part of that accelerated build as well. So that was really exciting for us to be able to show the community how much we could get done because of NCCC, not because of us, but because of their support. So benefits to your affiliate is obviously if you've got 8 to 10 young people working 5 days a week, you're going to get a lot more done than you might be doing just with local community volunteers. After they've spent a week or 2 with your construction staff and on your site, they can serve as crew leads, and that enables us, and it'll help you, to provide a positive, productive volunteer experience for your community volunteers. Whenever we have our corporate teams on site, and we have, we call them the gray shirts, but when the NCCC teams are there, it makes sense to stop at lunchtime and explain who are these young folks, why are they here, what are they doing, what's the program all about. So it gives us a chance to talk about all aspects of AmeriCorps and to promote national service programs. We often have folks come up to us after we've talked about what it is and say, oh man, I should get my daughter involved, or oh man, I wish my niece and nephew would get involved. And so we really think we're promoting national service by having them there working side by side with our community volunteers. Having NCCC on site actually provides opportunity for leadership development among our own staff, for our AmeriCorps national crew leads, and for the NCCC team itself. Because, as I said, after they've been working with us on our site for a couple weeks, those who are able to lead, they have that opportunity, and if they're doing a good job at it, we will give them more responsibility, and that gives them a chance to practice those leadership skills. Continuous improvement for us as an affiliate, working with the NCCC teams gives us a chance to evaluate what we're doing well, where we can make improvements. An example of that is our most recent team let us know that they really would have appreciated having a week just learning, just getting familiar with the sites, knowing where all the tools are, understanding our process before we threw them into leading volunteers. And I was really grateful that they gave us that feedback so we can put that into our training for the next team that we have. And then certainly not last but not least is having the NCCC on site is kind of like a month-long interview. You get to know them. You can decide whether or not they would be good candidates for your national positions or even to join your affiliate as staff. So an example of that is my AmeriCorps National Volunteer Services AmeriCorps. She was part of the NCCC team that we hosted this past summer, and it was sort of a mutual recruitment. I was watching her in action with her team. I knew that I was recruiting for that position, and I mentioned it to her. She applied. It was great. So really definitely use that as a way for you to recruit AmeriCorps Nationals or staff. And the fun picture here is on the right we have Maggie, who was from the NCCC team, a future homeowner, and then Chloe was an AmeriCorps National who then got hired as a site supervisor, and I just love that picture. So a nice, all the things that we do together, helping homeowners and helping develop people for their own future. So it's not all roses, although usually it's a generally positive experience. There are going to be some challenges. Housing is usually going to be the first one that folks run up against, is where are you going to house them? Are you able to provide any food or meals? And is there a way to partner with local churches or other organizations to provide food on a regular basis? We were really fortunate that the town of Lyons, they were so grateful to have these young folks working that when they found out the food budget that the NCCC were working on, the town banded together to give out some lunch vouchers. So that was a real help to the team. And that was kind of, that wouldn't have come about if we hadn't had the team there. So that was pretty awesome. We have had some challenges with local volunteers not understanding what NCCC is or why they should listen to these young folks. When you're putting a 20-year-old in charge of a crew putting up walls, and you've got, frankly, a bunch of old farts who think they know everything there is to know about construction, you're inevitably going to have some resistance. So helping set the NCCC folks up for success and helping the local volunteers understand that the team is part of our leadership structure and that we trust them and we expect the volunteers to also follow directions and listen to them. And again, getting good feedback from NCCC about how we can help them be more confident in giving directions to folks who are probably their parents or their grandparents' age. So that is definitely something that will come up. I put safety as a bullet because safety can come from having too many people on one site, having volunteers that don't follow directions, having Corps members goofing around. But because safety is so important to all of us Habitat affiliates, just making sure that you are paying attention to the number of people on site. Having NCCC is awesome, but if you have 10 people and then another 15 people, your site supervisors don't have that many eyeballs. So just making sure that you have a plan for keeping everybody safe. Weather can be a challenge, and this is going to be true across the state of Colorado. Whether you're having thunderstorms in July in the afternoon or whether you're having snowstorms in November. We've had some snow recently. So having backup activities and projects that you can keep NCCC busy. We have deployed them at the Restore. We've had them help us organize our construction warehouse. We've had them help at the admin office. And then this was something that we came up with. We haven't actually had to use it yet, but our Family Resource Center, which has a food pantry right across the street from us, that is kind of our backup plan for when we've cleaned the Restore, for a week straight, and we still need something for them to do. We can partner with other agencies right nearby. Related to weather is popsicles and watermelons. So if it's hot, bring them something to cheer them up in the afternoon, and if it's really cold, maybe think about having hot chocolate, hot cider, not as an everyday kind of thing, but kind of as a treat that lets them know you're paying attention to the fact that they're outside in this weather all the time. Team engagement can be a challenge. You're going to have 18 to 24-year-olds, which means you will have folks of all levels of maturity. You're going to have folks who are 18 working side by side with folks who've been through college. So that's inherently going to be a challenge, but I do want to be fair that some of the 18, 19-year-olds that we've hosted were really our best workers. So the older folks could be the ones who are just not tuned in as much as anybody else. But really everybody we've had has been really committed to getting the job done and learning. And these are all pictures from teams that we've hosted, so it's kind of fun to look at their faces again. So in addition to building houses, what we're really hoping to provide for the Corps members and for us as an organization is to create advocates for habitat. So it's our responsibility to provide a positive, meaningful experience. Jennifer mentioned context, so we want to help them understand why affordable housing matters, and we do that mostly, or understand why it matters, and then personalize the issue. So that's having them work side by side with future homeowners so that we're not always doing the ones telling the stories, but our future homeowners can explain what their journey has been before coming to Habitat. We actually have a formal presentation which we call Keys that provides a window into the connection between stable housing and self-reliance. And this was kind of it was an aha moment for me and really just shows my own personal blinders. I was kind of assuming they were all middle-class, liberal white kids that, that they would have one perspective on the world, and it was really good for me to see that no, everybody comes from their own different backgrounds, and their own family stories are going to be very different, and I should not make assumptions about their motivations or understandings of affordable housing. And just making sure that we make a safe space for them to talk about their understanding of the issue. Appreciation, so you're going to have better advocates if you appreciate their service. So making sure that we're appreciating and thanking them continuously, integrating them into our organization. We actually include NCCC in our weekly construction meetings, and we invite them to our all-staff meetings, and that's a way for them to kind of know what's happening before and after their service, so they know how important their time with us is, and that the work that they're doing is going to live on through future volunteers and future teams. And we try to take lots of photos, do a lot of posting on social media to thank them and appreciate them, and hopefully they can help us expand our social media. Recognizing them, so we want to introduce them to our community volunteers and recognize them in front of other groups. So I mentioned whenever we have corporate teams or church teams, we use that as an opportunity to explain what NCCC and AmeriCorps is and recognize their service in front of these other groups.
I think we lost Rebecca. Oh, let's see here. Should we go on, and then if she comes back in, she can
Yeah, I wonder what happened there. Oh, she got booted out of audio.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, everyone. We lost Rebecca. We're not sure why. But maybe should we skip ahead a few slides and then come back to her? Okay.
Yeah, we'll keep it going, and we'll get back to where Rebecca left off, because that was some great information that she is providing for you all. But I'll pick it up here and talk a little bit about strong projects, and this is addressing our mission. So strong projects will strengthen communities. And I just want to say something about what Rebecca was talking about before I head into this, and that is, she was talking about how AmeriCorps members get things done, and that is the tagline of AmeriCorps, as well as in the oath that they take before they leave our campus. They pledge to get things done for America, and I think it's really, until you posted a team, it's difficult to understand what they can all accomplish while they're there. They're a huge workforce. I think we've got...
Am I back?
We've got Rebecca back.
Okay, sorry about that, guys.
Let's get back
rewind.
to you.
Apologies. Let's see.
I was talking. I think, right?
What'd you say?
I think you were on this slide, creating advocates for habitat.
Yep.
Okay.
And we're getting to the bottom. So recognizing them, we actually invite the team leader to talk about NCCC. That, again, is giving them an opportunity for public speaking, leadership development, and for them to use their own words and their own voice to describe what NCCC is. And then the last thing, improving, is always asking for ideas and suggestions, and then making changes if they are warranted. If they make a suggestion that isn't going to work for you, then I think it's appropriate and respectful to explain why, and always thank folks for their feedback. They definitely, they're looking at what we do every day with a fresh set of eyes, and they can have good ideas. So it's like having a group of consultants on staff for 8 to 12 weeks, so take advantage of it. So getting ready for the team, when you are awarded a team, you want to announce that and promote it to the community. That's the first way that you're going to let folks know that this team is coming. It's a great way for you to share good news with your volunteers and your donors. Make sure that your staff know how long they will be here, what they'll be doing. So it's not just informing the community, but it's also informing your coworkers who are going to wonder who these 8 folks are walking through the conference room every day. Getting the housing ready. So for us, we've been using a home provided by one of our local churches. So when the team shows up, you want to introduce them to the staff at wherever your housing facility is, go through all the ground rules. If there are rules, make sure that you're setting expectations up front. I keep putting meals under housing. If you can partner with any of your, whether it's churches, alumni groups, civic organizations, Kiwanis, Rotary, if you can get folks to give them a lunch or a dinner once a week, that's a real benefit to them. It also gives you a chance to go out and talk to your partners to ask for something other than dollars. So it gives us an excuse to talk about what we're doing and how groups can be involved if they're not ready for a day on the construction site or to write a big check. You'll do a conference with the team leader before they show up, so you want to talk about your affiliate, talk about what the project is going to be, maybe give them some history and some context then. And then you want to learn about the team and what they've done so far. So we've had teams that have done disaster work. We've had teams that have already done construction on another Habitat affiliate, and it's just nice to know what they've been doing before they arrive at your affiliate. Having a clear schedule and orientation for the first week is important. I would definitely suggest some icebreaker activities. What we do is we bring the team to our office for a welcome lunch, and they get to meet all of our office staff. We walk them around, show them where everything is at the admin office, and then we just sit and visit while we have lunch. We do a much longer Habitat 101 presentation than we would do on the construction site. So again, that's giving them history and context. And then we take them on a tour. We drive around our community and point out homes that we've already built, homes that are under construction, show them where the restore is. If you've got interesting things in your community that you want them to know about, especially free things, this is a great time when you're driving around with them. You're getting to know them, and you're getting them to know your community. And then let them know what the weekly schedule will be, what your expectations are, and then schedule check-ins with your team leader, just so that from the outset everybody knows what the plan is, what it's going to look like every week, if your weeks are consistent, which for most of us, things change pretty frequently. So some ways to make sure that the experience is positive for both the affiliate and the team. Again, we include NCCC in our weekly construction meeting, and this is just something that we've started doing. We do it with our own staff, and when NCCC is here, we include them as well. It takes a little bit of extra time, but we go around the table and everybody shares something, kind of a moment of goodness, whether it was they drove to Colorado Springs and went up Pikes Peak over the weekend, or they had Thanksgiving with their family, or they saw a great movie. So it's a way to get to know each of them and what is important to them personally, and it's just a casual, again, that icebreaker, developing personal relationships. So that's one of the ways we include them. Having them in the meetings lets them know kind of what the long-range goals are. It gives us a chance for them to talk about things that happen on the construction site. If we need to figure out how to do things better, we can do it in that meeting. So that's course corrections. That's sort of what we're talking about. If our plan isn't working, well, then we'll adjust and make a better plan. Having weekly check-ins with the team leader, those have been, from my experience, they've been pretty easy. I'm sure other affiliates and other agencies have had different experiences, but so far, knock on wood, it's been I don't mean a formality in a bad way, but it's just like it's a scheduled time to make sure there's nothing going wrong, but usually things are going well, so it's pretty quick. Team development, trying to schedule some activities throughout your service term, so making sure that Corps members spend time with homeowners, sharing success stories from current homeowners connects NCCC to our mission, so not just the folks that they're working with for the homes that are under construction now, but giving them stories from folks who may have moved into their home 5 or 10 years ago. Trying to have some fun with them, so again, finding things that are free or inexpensive that they can do and making suggestions, or even hosting them, taking them to a bowling party if your affiliate can pay for that. You can go on a hike together because that's free. We do actually do some all-staff activities on an annual basis, and if they are here during that time, we make sure to include them. So some things we've done are an ice skating event for our staff and homeowners, and then we include NCCC. We have a pool party in the summer. We tend to do barbecues for our construction, our regular construction volunteers, and so we want to make sure to schedule some of those when NCCC is with us. Something I learned only recently, and Jennifer can explain this a little bit better, there's like a 25-mile limit of how far they can drive. So I'd been saying, oh, you should go to this place, you should go to that place, and finally one of them told me, yeah, that's 50 miles away. We can't use the NCCC van to go do that. So when you're suggesting fun things for them to do, just make sure you're taking into account that they have a limit of how far they can use that van to drive around in. And then metrics, you're probably already keeping track of volunteer hours. You should check in with your team leader on what metrics they will need help keeping track of. And there's an end of round form that you need to complete. There's another form that measures in-kind donations. So having, if you're just keeping an eye on that as the term goes on rather than having to do it last minute at the end, that'll be helpful. And then celebrating success. So during the last week, you want to have formal time for feedback and suggestions. You hopefully are doing this all along, but maybe if folks aren't comfortable speaking in front of a crowd, maybe ask everybody to write down 1 or 2 things and share it. Typically, the team will do a preview of a presentation they share with the other teams. So have them do that for you. That is feedback for you, and you can give them feedback on their presentation to help them do a better job when they go share back at the campus in Aurora. We typically schedule a thank you party of some kind, whether that's a barbecue or taking them out for happy hour. And one thing that I think is nice is to give them a chance to celebrate in their street clothes. So don't schedule it right at the end of the day. Give them a chance to go home, take a shower, and dress up, because chances are you haven't seen them outside of their uniforms, and it's kind of fun to see how each of them wants to dress up and celebrate at the end of spending some time together. Go ahead and make some speeches and talk about their impact. For me, it was really cool to go to the graduation in Aurora. It was very inspiring, both to see how many folks are involved in this program and all the work they're doing across the region. And I think it shows them that you actually care about their service. So we got to see Corps members from other teams that had gone on from us to serve at other agencies, and to see them at Aurora, it was really nice. It was just a mini reunion for that afternoon. And then after the team is gone, debrief with your team and make plans for any changes that you will implement with future teams. And probably, there will be some things that you've learned that you'll want to make changes for the next go-around. And I think that is all of my slides. So happy to take some questions. And I am always here as a resource, once you are each hosting teams.
Thanks, Rebecca. That was some really valuable insight into hosting a team. And just a quick little housekeeping. Go ahead and type your questions in. We'll answer them at the end, but in case any of you have to leave and we go a little bit over with our Q&A session, I'll also send out an email to everyone with the questions and the answers to them. And of course, just remember, I am your resource throughout all of this. You'll have my contact information, you have my phone number. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions and you want to learn more, discuss your options for submitting an application and hosting a team. All right, so we're going to keep on cruising through. Let's talk about strengthening communities, and this is what a strong project looks like. So you identify a community need and provide a work plan to meet that need. Habitat for Humanity is that's inherent in your work, and you know the needs of the community through your figures on the housing and rental market and the applications for your homes and the demand. So I encourage you to use that information in the application when you're applying for a team, and then to make sure that you educate your team on that information. They integrate the NCCC team into the community. So you just heard Rebecca's ideas on how to do that, and there's a lot of ways you can do that. Greeley Weld hosts biweekly lunch and learns with community members, and Vail Valley has a community night every Wednesday with the team, having dinner and engaging in various activities. So really it's just up to you. How do you want to get them out there into the community, make them feel welcome, and get to know the people that they're working and living with. And then they work with diverse populations and or community groups. Again, very inherent in the work that you are doing. It's great when you get those families working alongside the team members, engaging in that sweat equity, and also when the teams are working with those other groups that come in. As Rebecca was talking, sometimes they lead those other groups that come into your work sites. All great experiences. So part of that strengthening communities is having a great work plan set out. So like I was saying, these guys are going to come on and they're going to put out 40, 45 hours of work a week for you. It's really important that they get those hours in. And so when we look at your work plan, we want to see that the team will be engaged for 40 to 45 hours a week and that you do have an inclement weather plan should you come across some inclement weather that doesn't allow them to work on your work site. So this is just a little example. We send out a work plan template with the application. But just so you can see from this one how they've set it up, and this is from Vail, so you'll see on Wednesdays they have a community event, and then just kind of outlines and details what they'll be working on each day. There's different ways to complete your work plan, but the most important part for us is to know that they'll be engaged in meaningful work 40 to 45 hours a week. The team also gets to look at this before they deploy to their site, so it helps them mentally prepare for the work that they'll be engaging in. Strong projects develop leaders. So the two focuses of NCCC, strengthen communities and develop leaders. So how are we developing leaders? So you're providing the team with the training to get the job done. Again, there's a spot for that in your application, but Habitat for Humanity provides great worksite training. It's even better when you can outline that for them so they can start to understand what they'll be learning and implementing. They utilize service learning, get the job done. So that's really connecting. That's that context, connecting service to the need being addressed. And if you continually make the effort to do that through dialoguing on the housing situation and how providing stable housing will help with families out of poverty, that'll really help them understand the impact they're making through serving with Habitat for Humanity. And like Rebecca said, she runs that program Keys with them, which I think is a great service learning connector for them to understand how housing really affects people's lives. And then it provides opportunities for development of life skills. So again, we heard about this. It's the facilitating those weekly team leader meetings and creating that open dialogue among the team to discuss housing issues and the work that they're doing, and really anything else that might be on their mind. They learn a lot from you and community members while they're on site, so just giving them that opportunity to engage in their personal growth through getting to know you and other community members. So I just want to show you a training plan example. This is from Metro Denver, and I really like what they did with this training plan is they broke it down into tool usage, construction tasks, safety, and leadership, and then they highlighted what they'd be doing each week in those 4 different areas. So that's just one way that you could show a training plan in your application. And it's great. The team gets to see this as well, and it gets them excited and it gives them an idea of what they'll be learning and then helps them remember what they've learned and engaged in after they're done so they can use it for their own professional development. You have a link to this that Chris sent you, so it looks a little bit different when you click at it online, but we developed this affiliate map so that you have the opportunity, if you'd like to reach out to affiliates near you to apply for a collaborative grant. We have an application in right now from Loveland and Flatirons looking to do a collaborative grant and share a team. I think that if you would like to share the responsibility of a team, that's a great way to do it. And so when you look online, you'll see that we have these 4 different designations of affiliates. And when you click on them, it'll give you a listing of who's in that region. And this is just a suggestion. I mean, obviously you can see there's different clusters with the red, yellow, and blue that are close to each other, and the green and red. But that's just a little way to get organized for you in case you'd like to reach out to each other, whether you want to do a collaborative grant or you just want to get some ideas and brainstorm on applying for teams. So again, the link online has more information. So this is how your application is going to be evaluated. So what we want to see when we get your application in, and the application comes with instructions, which I think Chris sent out before the webinar, is the request for applications, the project concept form, and the application instructions, and they really walk you through all of this in detail. But we want to know is what need is going to be served and what's the impact that's going to be made. I showed you the work plan. We want to know what the work plan is and that you'll have that team engaged in meaningful work for 40 to 45 hours a week. We want to see an orientation and training plan. So it's an orientation to your organization, to the project, and to the community, as well as a training plan for that team. Member development, again, that's in the training plan, but it's also in those conversations that you're going to be having, or if you do anything like they do in Greeley where they have those weekly lunch and learns. So how else will members develop throughout their service with you? Other habitats have included in member development that they will have the team managing other teams. That's a great piece to include if you plan to do that. And a sustainability plan. How will the efforts of the team be built upon after they left? So this is in the request for applications. I just wanted to show it to you real quick so that you can understand our service timeline. So on the very left-hand column, you see the service dates. That's when the team will be serving. And on the right-hand is the concept form deadline. So the concept form is really simple. We sent it out ahead of time so you could take a look at it. What it does for us is we want to know who's applying for teams when the application goes out, and also what we want to know is, does your application qualify? So your Habitat for Humanity, yes, you qualify. But also we want to know about the project. And if I read that concept form and I have questions, then I can help you get prepared for submitting that application if I see anything that's looking off in the concept form. So it gives us an opportunity to course correct before you go through that entire application process. And so you have the concept form deadline, the application deadline, and the award notification. And then that's all related to those service timelines. So you have to be a little bit ahead of the game in this. As you can see right now, we have our concept form deadline December 14th, and that's for the service period. That is from April 13th to July 13th. Again, I'm happy to help you with that first deadline of December 14th if you're looking at getting a team for the spring. And I think that's it for me. So we just have 5 minutes left.
The conference has been unmuted.
And it looks like we've got a couple of questions in here already. And so I'll go ahead and just, let's see. Oh, so Rebecca, it looks like you answered Janet with that. Yeah, so the site supervisors really just need to be 20 hours a week. If you're having team members work on repair projects, as long as they've received the training and understand the work and then have access to a supervisor, it's perfectly fine to have the team working on their own for part of that time.
Are there any other questions?
I would just add to that, I don't believe that we've ever had NCCC on site with volunteers if we didn't also have a staff person there. We have deployed them to work on a site on their own, but, and I realize every affiliate's going to be different in terms of how many staff you have, but just, again, back to safety and a positive volunteer experience, not that we didn't trust NCCC, but just to make sure that we were providing a consistent positive volunteer experience. I don't think we've ever let them lead without having a staff person there for support.
Yeah, thank you, Rebecca. No, that's a great distinction. I didn't really catch that in the question, but yes, that's correct.
Any other questions? Again, feel free to type it in the chat box if you don't want to speak up.
As you know, and I'm sure you've seen, I have you all on my email list, so I'll be continuing to send you notifications of timelines, deadlines, and information.
Good. Well, if there are no other questions, we will we'll wrap up. I want to thank you all for taking time to participate in the webinar this morning, and hopefully it was helpful for you and informative, and you're thinking about applying for an NCCC team. Big thank you to Rebecca and Jennifer for all the wonderful and helpful information they've provided this morning, and also to the Corporation for National Service and for AmeriCorps NCCC for the support they're giving to Habitat and have committed to Habitat over the next 3 years. It's a tremendous resource, and we sincerely appreciate their commitment to working on addressing the affordable housing problem in the state of Colorado. So thank you all, and if you will, has been recorded, and we'll make that available if you need to go back and listen to anything, but also feel free to contact Jennifer or Rebecca directly if you have questions for them. Thanks very much, and have a great day, everyone.
Thank you. Chris, Jennifer, do you want me to stay on the line for anything?
What's that?
Do you want me to stay on the line for, I don't know, anything after?
Do you need to stay on the line?
Nope, I don't think we need to stay on the line, but awesome job. Thank you so much. Really appreciated that. I think that was super helpful information for anyone that's curious about hosting a team.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. My only question back to any of them would be, other than housing, why would anybody not apply for a team?
Right? Yeah, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Jennifer, this is Antonio. Great job.
Hey, Antonio. Awesome. Thanks for joining.
Of course. Really great job. Reach out to me if you need anything from us, okay?
Will do.
All right.
Will do.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Thanks. Yeah, Rebecca, I think this is really helpful, this webinar, and then having you talk about your experience with the team. I think if a team, for most sponsors, if they haven't had contact with